If you work in the SEO or AEO space, you perhaps have seen a ton of AI search analytics tools. I'm talking about tools like peak.ai, profound.com, and others. But did you know that you can create your own AI search analytics tool in just a few hours? Well, I just did, using CloudCode and a bunch of APIs. I've literally built an AI search analytics platform that tracks AI visibility for certain key prompts, gives you all of the sources, shows you what are the domains that are being cited, and all of the AI search responses that you really care about. To be honest, I think it's pretty close to the experience that most AI search analytics platforms offers today. And the crazy thing is, Claude makes this extremely easy for someone like you, a non-coding marketer, to build this on their own. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything. Why do we need an AI search analytics platform in the first place? What are the key differences between traditional keyword rankings and AI search visibility monitoring? How can you build a tool exactly like this completely on your own using just a bunch of APIs without having to pay hundreds of dollars a month? And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you the exact prompt that you can use. Just plug into CloudCode, add your API keys, and build this very piece of software completely yourself. So let's dive in. So first of all, a quick walkthrough of this tool. So we have the overview tab, exactly as many other AI search platforms have. To be honest, I even used one of the platforms which I'm already using. It's peak.ai and also a mixture of Profound. I have subscriptions to both, and to be honest, I think both of those two platforms are amazing. I use them for many of my clients as well as for Modash. But at the same time, building these is extremely easy. I'm pretty sure there are functionalities that those tools have which we cannot simply build very easily inside CloudCode, but you can still build a working model relatively easily. As you can see, I'm actually a user of peak.ai. This is the platform that I'm mainly using for Modash and a bunch of other clients. And we also have Profound that we were using previously, and then we migrated Peak recently. The thing is, these tools are great, but they also have a lot of features that you might not need, and you would be paying a lot of money that you don't need to. Since AI search visibility is something that you would need to track anyways, it makes sense to build something of your own if you can just use a bunch of APIs. So the question that naturally pops up now is, what are some of the features that we really need in an AI search platform, and maybe anything else is an extra, right? Something as an add-on that we can still use maybe in some instances, but what are those core 2 to 3 features and capabilities that you really need in an AI search platform in order for you to design your own? In my opinion, there are 3 main things that you should have, and this is exactly what we've built in our own platform, and I'm going to walk you through it in a minute. This is what I'm calling minimum viable AI search monitoring. So we have 3 different tabs. Tab number 1 is overview. This is basically a bird's eye view of everything. Your charts, your data, your big visuals and trends will go here. The next one is prompts. This is where you load your custom prompts and give this tool the ability to track them over time. Number 3 is the sources. Basically the citations that AI search generates in different models. What are different URLs or domains that it's relying on to come up with those answers? Now this, in my opinion, is enough for you to get started. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that anything extra that you get in a platform that you're paying for is useless, but if we're really talking about an MVP for AI search analytics, this is it. Now, if we jump into the platform that we've built using CloudCode and a bunch of APIs, these are exactly the 3 different tabs that I've designed. So we have the overview where you have high-level idea of your visibility trend. You're looking at how you stack against competitors. Right now, we're looking against competitors like Grin, Upfluence for Modash. You got a visibility score. You see out of 1,000 or whatever the number is, how many times you're mentioned, what does the average sentiment looks like, what does the average position looks like. Then it's telling us all of the different models that it's using to track visibility. So we have ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and others. Then it has the time period that you can track. Down here, we have the rankings in a table format, so you can see the visibility, the sentiment, the position. And then this overview tab, again, just highlighting some of the key metrics. For example, number 4 is our competitive rank out of 7 tracked competitors. Then we have about 42% visibility inside AI search and a total of 1,000 citations. Down here, we have a section on earned off page and earned on page, which basically is a section as a separate tab inside peak.ai. And I can actually show you here. So these are the 2 tabs with an actions report that basically shows you what are some of the things that you can actually work on as opportunities. on both off-page activities for the site. So what are some of the gaps that you can fill, as well as on-page stuff that you can fix on your website. Next up, we have a preview of some of the top domains and domain types. And then finally, some of the recent charts based on the prompts that we're tracking. Now, if we click the prompt report, we're going to see all of the prompts that we're tracking within this tool. And again, these are custom loaded prompts. These are the prompts that we thought about, we found them relevant, and then finally we loaded them in. So the prompts report has loaded. We're seeing the same interface that we see inside platforms like Peak or Profound. It's a bunch of prompts that we've loaded based on whatever we think is relevant for Modash or any other company. And we're seeing the visibility score, the sentiment, the position, and a list of different models where this system is tracking these prompts on a particular cadence. It could be weekly, daily, whatever you've set. You can also see it's giving us the option to add more prompts, and it's also creating these categories based on how we segment these prompts into different clusters. And then lastly, we're jumping into sources. These are the domains or the URLs retrieved by the system based on what AI search responses use as citations when they're generating a response. So at the top, you see this chart based on the number of sources retrieved by the system. So you can see, for example, G2 or Influencer Hero or even Modash. And then down here, you can see a table with all the domains, domain types, the same thing that we also saw in Overview tab. You can also change this to URLs if you would want, rather than specific domains, complete websites as a whole. Now, it's not going to show us the exact pages in this case because, small caveat, most of this is mock data that I'm using. The reason why I've done this is because in this case, we need at least 30 to 90 days of data for me to show you the trends and this entire tool working properly, which of course I didn't have. So I built this just a few days back and it started rank tracking using all of those different APIs, different models like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, but we didn't have a history that I could show you. So while the tool was working and is working, and I'm actually going to use this for some of the projects that I'm working on, it didn't make sense to just show you maybe 3 to 4 days of data. I wanted to fill this completely for at least a few months, 60 to 90 days, to show you exactly what it would feel like to build something like this and actually use it in practice. Now that we've looked at what this platform contains, different tabs, different capabilities, different data sources that it's tracking, I want to give you a quick view on differences between traditional versus AI search rank tracking. Right after this, we're going to get into the logic behind building this platform, and I'm going to give you the exact prompt that you can use as promised. So the key differences. It differs on a variety of different aspects and factors. So we have what exactly you track. In the case of traditional rankings, it was keywords, short phrases, short tail, not super specific. But when it comes to prompts in AI search, they're extremely long tail and specific. An example would be someone searching email marketing software. When they're searching the same thing inside AI search, let's say ChatGPT, they're going to type something like, I am a B2B marketing manager. I run a team of 15 people. I have this much budget. I need a tool that helps me with email marketing and integrates with X, Y, and Z solutions. So you can see the prompt is extremely specific. That's one. Number two, what you measure. So you see rankings was the thing that we used to measure in the past. Number one. Number two, where we stack in the Google 10 blue links. In AI search, we're basically trying to measure the mentions and position inside the answer. So ranking might still be somewhere involved, but the actual data point that we're looking at is whether we're part of the conversation or not. Number three is the output type, which is pretty obvious. We used to get a list of 10 blue links in the past. Right now, we're getting single synthesized answers. So you're either in or you're out. Visibility logic used to be that higher rank used to add more clicks. Exactly as I mentioned with AI search, either you're mentioned, which means you're visible, or you're not mentioned, which means you're invisible. So there's less of a spectrum that you can play with. Number five, and this is a big one, is the level of consistency. So what I've noticed is that Google rankings used to be pretty deterministic. Of course, there was some level of personalization, but mostly the rankings were stable. But AI search varies across models and responses. Even if you ask the same exact prompt to an AI search model 10 times from the same location, from the same device, it's going to give you 10 varied answers, to some extent at least. And of course, the tracking tools that we are used to were tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush for keyword tracking. Now, of course, they have some AI search monitoring platforms like Brand Radar, but The new tools that we're seeing in the market are Profound, Peak, there's also Scrunch and a few others. But these are a set of tools that are dedicated to AI search monitoring. And to be honest, in my opinion, they do a good enough job for you to consider having a separate account in one of these, even if you just build one of your own. Anyways, that's the key differences that we're looking at between the old model of rank tracking and where exactly we're headed with AI search visibility monitoring. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that I built this platform inside CloudCode. Everything that you see on your screen is built with vibe coding, just talking to CloudCode, giving it a bunch of APIs that it can play with, and of course, giving it some guardrails and a detailed prompt with a couple of references. So how did I do it? I just created a prompt that is super detailed, gave it a bunch of different visual references from other platforms, other tools that we have in the market, and set the foundation with saying something like, you're an expert, full stack engineer and product designer. Your task is to build a production quality AI search SaaS product from scratch, and the rest of the details are here. Right after this, we have the API keys that I've added, and I'm gonna mention exactly the keys that I've used. And then the rest of the prompt just goes over a bunch of other details. For example, it's mentioning the tech stack, core product concept, the core features, the rankings, and everything that we need within the platform. It's talking about the actual logic. So what is the logic that we're using? In simple words, in visual format, this is how I would explain it. So logic-wise, in the backend, we have a couple of things going on. We're using a bunch of APIs, and then this is the exact sequence of steps happening in the backend that makes up the platform what it is and the kind of output that it's generating. So we have the basic setup. You start by, of course, building the platform, but right after it, you add your website, you give it the URL of your homepage, and the tool will automatically find the initial set of prompts that are relevant for your business, understanding what your product and your targeted customers would be about based on everything that it can find about your company on the web. And it's gonna also find some of the key competitors that you can be stacked against. In step number 2, the tool is building a prompt library. So this is where it's generating a couple of seed prompts completely on its own. And then later on, of course, you can also add your own prompts that are more customized. It's trying to build more ICP driven prompts. So just thinking from a customer standpoint, just using their potential pain points that it can synthesize together. And of course, trying to look at high intent queries, all just put together into a bunch of different prompts that it can start with. Because remember, this platform will not work if you don't have any prompts to begin with. So there will be nothing in the dashboard in the overview tab to show if it does not ask you for a bunch of prompts that you can either approve, or it can come up completely on its own to begin with at the first step. Number 3 is LLM responses. So this is where we're using the core APIs. This is the main engine of our product. So we have OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini. These 4 APIs are mainly for LLMs, where API runs the prompts across all of these models and generate the answers that AI search is running. And then this tool is, of course, going to point out how much visibility or sentiment your particular product, your particular brand is getting out of them. And to be honest, most of the platforms that you see out in the market, on LinkedIn, on the web, talking about how they have a proprietary system of tracking visibility inside AI search, they're just using API calls. Of course, some mature platforms like Profound and Peak, they might have some proprietary data and their own systems. But for the most part, most of the tools that I'm seeing that are smaller than these 2 companies, some of the top 2 to 3 players excluded, are pretty linear in how they're tracking visibility, and it's mainly APIs. Now, the next one is that you also have to use a SERP API. This is because Google AI overviews will not be included in these 4 different APIs. So you can use something like data for SEO, or you can also use SERP API. Now, in this case, we're using data for SEO. I have a subscription. So it's basically going to be extracting mentions from AI overviews, which requires a SERP API, right? You can use anything. I think Google also has their own free version of a SERP API, but it comes with a limited number of credits. Plus, it's not very easy to work with. So I would suggest going with something like data for SEO or SERP API to begin with. And then, of course, later on, if you find a better solution, that's awesome. Again, it doesn't really cost much, so totally recommended. Next up, we have response extraction. This is where the platform is extracting the brand mentions, putting together the scoring, looking at visibility, the sentiment, the citations, and the context of your brand in different AI search responses. The next one is a technical step, and this is, to be honest, very simple to understand, but sounds very technical. It's basically a database storage. So we're using Supabase. Now, in simple words, what this means is you're building some sort of an analytics platform, some sort of a tracking system. You have to have a database where the information can be stored. Why? Because let's say you're looking at a trend for the past 6 months. Where would the reports for the past 6 months of AI visibility, whatever metric you're tracking, will be stored? Because you have to, of course, make comparisons and say, compared to last month, compared to last week, have we gone up, have we gone down, etc. So, of course, you can remove this step if you want, but the problem would be that you would not be able to store anything, and you will not be able to compare or have trend charts. You will simply not be able to look at a timeline and the history. So in simple plain English, this is basically a database storage that we're using. It's called Supabase. You can also use other kind of solutions out in the market. It's pretty easy to work with. We basically store prompts, the responses, and store mentions over time. And then the platform is going to be using that as a source of truth for drawing historical data and then making comparisons to show you in a nice looking UI. And of course, in the last step, it's basically running some sort of a cadence to check the visibility, the sentiment, the responses of the prompts that you're trying to track for on either a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, totally up to you. So it's running the same prompts that you're tracking across models on a particular cadence, and of course, drawing comparisons on a variety of different metrics. Now, I've already gone through this entire process, right? It was in-depth, it required some time just setting this up. But to be honest, it was not as difficult as you would think. But again, just to reduce friction even more for you to get started, what I've done is I've literally turned this entire chat that I have, where again, I had to make a lot of iterations. I had to do a lot of stuff, just a lot of troubleshooting, chatting with Claude code for the most part, and finally turned this into an actual prompt where you can just use it and completely build this version on your own. So you can see at the end of this chat, once we had the latest version and the working model for this AI search monitoring platform ready, we asked CloudCode to give us a prompt, right? The exact prompt that can be used. So we said, based on the latest version of this AI search visibility tool, excluding the mock data, give me the exact prompt, a single one that contains everything that would generate this tool from scratch. Put placeholders for the API at the top, and the rest of the prompt should cover every minute detail there is to finally build this exact version. In short, I'm going to give you everything. It gave me the exact prompt, which then I downloaded and added as an markdown file in a Google Doc, and you can see it here. And I'm going to give this away for free. You can just get this from the link in the description. Just fill in the form with your email and it's going to be landed in your inbox. You can use this exact markdown file, add your own API keys, set up your own Supabase, and get started with your own AI search visibility platform. So that's pretty much it. I'm Usman Akram, an organic growth strategist who works with B2B SaaS companies to help them grow with SEO, AEO, and of course I create some content on YouTube and LinkedIn. If you're finding me on YouTube, head over to LinkedIn, get in touch. I would love to say hi. Till then, see you soon.